mic feels new. Ready to go?
Yep.
Yeah, first I just want to acknowledge the passing of a friend in Mizzou. I don't know the accurate words to describe him. But, you know, Thursday after the game, received that news, and it was difficult to move on in the press conference because of how much Ben meant to so many people, including myself. And he was a great man, a great true son, and somebody that I know everybody in this room will miss greatly. And it seems inappropriate to just move on. But Ben would know there's a story to tell, and the story's not finished yet, so we'll keep his family in prayers, our family and friends in our thoughts and prayers, and we will continue to tell the story of Mizzou just like he would. You know, want to recap our performance Thursday night. You know, the first thing I want to say is how much I appreciate our fans. What an awesome way to sell out, to start the season. The environment was tremendous. The students were loud, they were early, and that student section was rocking. Can't thank the administration enough for the new lights. I think the new lights and the ability to create an atmosphere was tremendous. I think the construction workers stole the show from their seats in the new suites and made people jealous, which was awesome. And I think the construction is just a continued sign of our commitment to growing and developing as a program. I know there was some hiccups there with the concourse and all that stuff, and I know our athletic department's working really, really hard to fix it moving forward. But you know, look forward to having another Saturday in Faroe and continuing the things that our fan base has built. You know, on tape, I liked a lot. There was a lot of things to be proud of, but more importantly, there was so much to correct and so many things that we have to improve, starting with myself, and our coaching staff, and then trickling down to our players, top to bottom. And that's really the name of the game, is improvement. You know, it doesn't matter how good you are right now, it's how much better can you be, and can you close that gap? And that's really what we're looking for this week, is to close that gap of becoming the best team that we can be. And so there's a lot of things to improve, you know, offensively at the line of scrimmage, ball security in the pocket, blocking on the perimeter, protections with the tailbacks, you know, defensively tackling in space, setting edges, not getting washed in the interior movement game, having better spacing and coverage in the secondary, you know, on special teams, being more physical at the point of attack, having fewer penalties that set us back. So tons of stuff to improve on, and that's really what we're focused on this week. You know, from an injury standpoint, you love the game of football and you hate it. You absolutely hate injuries and wish there was a way that they were not part of it, but they are. You know, Sam has an injury that's going to keep him out for an extended period of time. I'm not going to get into specifics, but he will be out. I don't know how long yet, but he will miss an extended period of time. You know, Blake tore his ACL. He had repair surgery this morning. There was a slight hope that it wasn't quite as bad, but he has a full tear repaired this morning. He's on his way to recovery, but he will miss the remainder of the season. What that means moving forward is we actually have added Ryder Goodwin to our football team and roster. He was a junior college transfer, and so he joined us yesterday, fully cleared and practiced with the team yesterday. We also added Brett Brown. Brett was a former walk-on quarterback. I actually played the spring game as the second quarterback 2 years ago. Brett is back. He practiced with the team yesterday. So, you know, fortunate for us that we had the space within our 105 and made the corrections that we needed to make, and had the ability to get these guys onto our team and did that. So, field goals as of right now will be Robbie Myers. Place kicking will be Oliver Robbins, and then Ryder will compete to see where he is at as quickly as possible. But he did kick with our field goal unit yesterday, and feel excited that we were able to get him. On to this week's game. Obviously, it's an important game to a lot of people, and our team fully is aware of the importance of this game to our fans in the state and what it represents nationally and what it represents, you know, in a historical significance. We've embraced it. We understand it. We've taught about it. We've made sure our team knows about it. We've had guest speakers, And I will say this, I have a lot of respect for Coach Leipold and what he's done and the job that he's done. He's a national championship coach. He's went to 2 other previous programs and transformed them into a winning program, and you can see what he's done in a short amount of time at Kansas. What a terrific coach he is, his entire staff. So, you know, they've got some really good players. They did an excellent job rebuilding the roster from last year. I think their quarterback is a terrific player. He's back to his former self. You know, I think maybe 2 years ago, going into preseason, he was 2 in the preseason Heisman rankings, and he's returned to that form, in my opinion. He's got some weapons to really use. Emmanuel Henderson and the transfer wide receiver Pickett. I think both of those guys are elite wide receivers. You know, Henderson has got great speed, catches the ball, really difficult to tackle. He's a former high school running back. Pickett, they use him a lot of different ways. I think he's got 3 touchdowns in 2 games, so definitely know how to get him the ball. You know, defensively, you know, Dean Miller, Justice Finkley, Trey Latham, Murray Groles, TJ Withers, you know, all these guys are disruptives. I think their D-line is their strength of their football team, you know, between Dean Miller, Justice Finkley, and DJ. I think they do as good a job as anybody rushing the passer. They got great length. They chase the ball. You know, Trey Latham is a transfer from West Virginia. He does a really good job playing linebacker. He was a guy that we looked at in the portal. You know, he's a physical player, can run really well. Larry Groles is a safety. He's got the interception versus Fresno. Is a really good, I mean, does a lot for them. They do a lot with their defensive scheme. They have, you know, they have 4 down, they have odd, they have 3 safety, they have bear, they have 6-man front. So they're very disruptive. I think the team is very well coached, very disciplined in how they play. It certainly will be a challenge for our program and our team because of what they do. So we got our hands full between understanding the rivalry and the intensity of the game and understanding that the game is played on the field. You know, we got a lot of work to do. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
Eli, what did you understand about this rivalry before you took the job, and how long did it take you to gain an understanding of what it is?
Well, I mean, I obviously understood the rivalry. You know, you go back to probably the 2 biggest games, not biggest, but 2 of the big games, you know, were 07, 08, right? And you know, I remember watching those games on TV, to be honest. You know, I wasn't in college coaching at that point. I was a high school coach. And so, you know, remember Coach Mangino and his ability to turn that program around. And obviously had a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Pinkel because of, at that time, Ashton Glazier being on the roster. So, you know, I was aware of what Mizzou was all about. So taking the job, I understood its importance. You know, and have been to as many of the home basketball games that we've hosted at KU. So understand it, and you know, our team and guys understand the importance of it.
Coach, you had mentioned previously that you brought in guest speakers to talk to the team about this game. What were some of the key points that they mentioned? I know Andy Hill was one of them. What were some of the key points that he and the others told the team about it?
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of different things talking about it. We talked about the historical significance and context of the game. We talked about, you know, what it was for him both as a player and a coach. But you know, really those things need to be. I didn't ask him if he was okay with me sharing what he said to the team. So, you know, it just needs to be known that we understand what it's about.
Eli, what do you want to make sure that the players understand about the rivalry the most as you get ready for this week?
It means a lot to a lot of people. It's a privilege to wear the Mizzou on your chest, and you know, when you wear Mizzou, you're representing 6 million people in this state, and that's just current. You know, there's past and present. I think we're Team 136, and there's some people that you know felt like you know, there's just a lot of importance, and this is our chance to write our part of the story. The game's not, you know, we're going to continue to play this game, so this is just one part of the story, but it's an important part, and we get a chance to play it.
You've certainly got your own rivalries within the SEC and otherwise, but when you think about a game with this history, is it part of the fabric of what makes college sports what it is? I mean, do you see it that way?
Yeah, I think anything that stirs the passion of your fan base is important, especially when you're asking fans to do so much. You know, we ask our fans to do so much from a financial contribution, from a time contribution, from a engagement contribution. So anytime you get a chance to stir their passion for, you know, bragging rights and whatever other rights that might be on the line with this game, I think it's important that your team's ready to play.
Definitely.
Coach, you mentioned the importance of this rivalry, but who have you leaned on and learned about what it's going to be like to coach in this game?
Yeah, you know, I would just say, the biggest thing that I'm telling our team is you gotta understand it, but once the ball's kicked, you gotta play the game. You gotta play the game with execution, fundamentals, and technique. And the most important thing for us right now is to improve from last week's performance, both technically, fundamentally, and execution-wise. And so, you know, going back to like, have I asked about, you know, coaching in this game? And you know, we've coached in some rivalry games before. We've been a part of some rivalry games before. So I think we have an understanding of what the intensity is gonna be. But there's been no like, you know, is there a certain schematic thing that we need to do because it's a rivalry game? It's just, you gotta stay calm, stay present, coach the game.
Coach, with that, is there anything you do differently in the rest of this week or on game day to help players get into that state where they can channel the intensity?
No, we've done all that. Now it's about execution. I think there's a fine line between overhyping and getting so emotional that you don't have poise and control. You wanna have energy, you don't wanna be emotional. And we wanna have great positive energy and be excited to play, and I don't think that's gonna be a problem. I think our players are gonna be excited about Faurot Field being sold out. I think they're gonna be excited about playing a quality opponent, and testing where they're at as a team. And I don't know that on game day, like I tell the team all the time, the pregame speech isn't gonna execute in the fourth quarter. So, like, you know, it's all good for SEC Now and to put it out there, and the mini movie's gonna capture it, but at the end of the day, man, in a 2-minute drive or on swing 8 or money downs, or like, ain't nobody thinking about, man, Coach Drink said this, or this guest speaker said this.
Eli, I know on Thursday night you weren't quite ready to talk about Matt being the backup quarterback, but how do you feel about his readiness and what you've seen out of him the last 7-8 months?
Yeah, I feel a lot of confidence in Matt, especially after him being able to go in and perform the way he did. I thought he handled it pretty well. I think from a staffing standpoint, you know, I think our staff has done a really good job of growing Matt while also allowing Bo and Sam to compete for the job. And we really didn't hinder his reps or performance while we were doing that. We were actually very cognizant in fall camp, in summer walkthroughs, and during spring to make sure he was growing and developing the reps. Because make no mistake about it, Matt Zollers is the future for us at that quarterback position here. And so we knew that he needed to continue to grow and develop. And so, you know, I think the maturity question, and that's what I actually spoke to him about maybe a week ago, and then brought him in and talked to him about it this week. There's just got to be a maturity and growth now. He's no longer a freshman who's just having a good time and going out. Of course, he wouldn't have gone out to Harpo's because he's underage, but there's no, you know, now he's focused on what he's got to do in order to be prepared, because at any play he could go in the game.
Well left.
Coach, Bo was talking about after the game, his running style and how he's always been one to embrace contact as a runner. With Sam being out for an extended period of time now, do you think that style has to change?
Bo's gonna be Bo. Bo's gonna be Bo. So I don't need Bo to change anything. You can't control injuries. You can't be afraid of them. You gotta play your game. And whatever makes Bo the best quarterback he can be is what Bo's gotta be. And that's what he's gonna do. So, I mean, if he's gonna have a, you know, opportunity to get out of bounds, sure, would we love for him to do that? Absolutely. Will we ask him to? Great. But Bo's gonna be Bo, and I don't want him thinking I want him doing. I want him playing. So.
Middle right here.
Eli, with Robert, just what stood out about him as a prospect, and just what are the challenges for a true freshman kicker to be able to step in there?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, probably, one, he's got a great leg. It's just confidence in understanding conditions, right? He's always been able to kick. So, you know, he just gotta have confidence he can do it in front of sold-out crowds, which is always, you know, a nervous thing to do. And then, you know, conditions change, so being able to adjust and adapt to wind, cold, humidity, dampness, all those things, you know, affect the kicker in the ball flight. So, you know, those will be things that he has to adjust to as we continue to practice.
In the back?
Eli, I'm curious, you know, throughout the game, how did you think your offensive line progressed, especially with the new kind of assembled back unit?
Yeah, first drive obviously was really good. And I don't remember if it was the second or third drive, we had a couple of issues. One was a communication issue on the slide. We thought we were on the slide side, we weren't. And then one, we just got beat. And you know, look, first time to ever play, you know, left tackle here. That's gonna be part of the growth process. I was more concerned with the interior movement that we weren't able to get. There was a fourth down that we didn't get the movement that we needed to in the A-gap. You know, and we weren't able to secure the backside of the outside zone the way we need to in order for that play to be effective. That was more concerning to me than the pass pro. I vividly remember 2 years ago, Middle Tennessee, Javon Foster giving up a sack on a third down that was pretty poor. He's a dadgum good player and a draft pick, and I think he's with the Bengals now. So, like that's part of it. We'll get better, we'll grow, we'll develop there. And like I started with this statement, like the entire focus of week 1 to week 2 is improvement. It's identifying mistakes and weaknesses, knowing where you're actually at versus true competition, and figuring out how much better you gotta be. And that's the name of the game at this point.
Ryan?
Eli, I know you don't want to elaborate about anything any of those speakers might have specifically said, but might you be able to share with us a few of the other speakers, or how many speakers you had talk about rivalry?
We had several. I don't think it's necessarily important. Again, I didn't necessarily ask those guys, you know, if that was for me to put out, you know, that they were here and spoke about it. But again, the point of it is not what they said. The point is to make sure that our fan base and our players understand that we know the significance historically, we understand the importance. We're not overlooking or undervaluing this game. We know it's an important thing to our team. But during the week is not the point that you get it going. During the week, you have to focus on execution of your assignments, because you don't want to be emotional, you want to execute. And so, you know, we got all that out the way. We understand, we know there's a trophy for it at the end of the game. Our goals every year is to win our trophy games. This is a week that we got a trophy on the line. You have a tangible thing that you're playing for. In college football, you don't always have that after a game. Sometimes you just gotta attaboy. There ain't no attaboy after this one. There's a dadgum war drum and several other stuff out there. And you win it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And I don't care who you are. If you're a competitor, there's something online, I don't care if you're playing against a buddy at home and one-on-one. If there's a Diet Coke on the line, you want to stink and win, because it's painful if you don't. So our guys understand it. Like that ain't the issue. The issue is, are we gonna be able to execute? Are we gonna be so focused on the crowd and doing this that we forget it ain't about that? It's about hands inside. It's about executing your assignments. It's about having eyes on your keys. It's about communicating the formation adjustments. It's about offensively making sure that we're all on the same page on our identifying the fronts that they're gonna be in. That's gonna be way more important than whether we had a guest speaker tell us about in 1854 or in 1960 they played an eligible player. Like, okay, great, perfect. Let's make sure we got a Rip and Liz call.
Okay, 3 more, Coach Eli. Coach, on the kicking again, how does the offense, maybe the play calling, have to change?
Doesn't change. No, we're gonna play the game. Robbie can kick. You know, I'm not going into it thinking he's not gonna be able to do something that I know he can do and show him in practice. Now, do we have to adjust after we see things? We'll figure that out. But not putting limitations on players going into it. He's practiced. He's performed. He's kicked in big moments in fall camp. Like, again, I hate injuries. They stink. I hate that. But you know, there's a lot of players on our team that are all scholarship players that have opportunities to come in here and perform, and that's why they're here. So it's not like, you know, we're having open tryouts because we don't have anybody else on the roster that's ever kicked. We just went and signed somebody from JUCO, but we didn't open tryouts.
Gallop, and then we'll finish up from here.
On the opposition a little bit, what's the respect you have to show for Daniels as a passer and trying to get pressure on him, but also his ability to scramble?
Yeah, I mean, that's the conundrum that you're put in with him. You know, again, he's played a lot of football. He's seen a lot of different things. So there's not a whole lot of things that you're gonna do that confuses him. He's an excellent thrower of the football. They do a really good job of moving the pocket, which I think is very subtle, but really helps him because he's already moving. And now if he decides to take off running, he's already got momentum. You know, when he's in the pocket, you're gonna have to really work to constrict the pocket, but you gotta stay in your rush lanes. I think, you know, we've played several of these styles of quarterbacks before. You know, in the SEC, that's becoming more and more popular, but we've never played anyone like him, or as, you know, maybe as good as him. He is a really, really dynamic, good player. I think, you know, the toughest thing about a quarterback is a quarterback with maturity and experience, because they don't get rattled. You know, when you look around college football this past weekend, it's guys who maybe haven't seen it before that have a little bit more growth. I mean, this guy's been through the highs and lows of college football. Like, you know, he's not gonna be distraught about going on the road. He's done that several times. He's not gonna be distraught about playing a good defense. He's played SEC defenses before. You know, we're just gonna have to do a really good job of tackling. We're gonna have to do a great job of covering, because, you know, at the end of the day, if wide receivers are open, he's gonna throw it to them.
Coach, what does your offensive line need to do to stop guys like Dean Miller and DJ Withers?
Man, I'm not gonna do that. You know, we gotta focus on our technique and fundamentals. At the end of the day, we have to focus on our technique and fundamentals. You know, those guys, I think, obviously, Dean Miller's really tall. He's got burst off the edge. His length is a problem because in his one-arm stab, he's able to get on you before you can punch. And if he's able to get that one-arm stab going, now he's got counter moves off of it. I think DJ Withers is very explosive, twitchy. He's got a little bit more bull rush, in my opinion, to him. He's excellent at pursuing the football, and even if you are able to sit down his bull rush, his secondary move, I think is really good. You know, so our guys are gonna have to understand it's not just a one-punch fight. You know, you're gonna have to stay in a good, proper position. You're gonna have to work to a counter move, and you're gonna have to make sure you have great balance. So it's gonna be a challenge for sure. Those guys can play.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.